So here's a question, and it's kind of posed to religious people. What if everything that was in the Bible that was equated to evil and everything that God wanted man to do, America was the main culprit of this? And we demonize countries who don't follow suit on what we here do in America. That's all under the veil of freedom. How much freedom does the Bible give human beings? And don't say anything about free will and all that, because that's nonsense. Because it's a cop-out for those who don't want to follow rules. And I don't believe that our lives were already planned out for us. Because if that's the case, and I say this all the time, if somebody does a drive-by on a house and a 2-year-old baby in that house gets murdered within the drive-by, is that what God had planned for that 2-year-old's life? To just live that 2 years? And what has that 2-year-old learned or grew to be? So you know how we demonize the Muslim country because they want their women to stay covered. And we in America say, well, a woman should have a right to wear what she wants and do what she wants. But that's just from our perspective, because we are born here in America. People who are born in other countries have different perspectives. But if we were to follow the Bible, that's what God wants, right? If we follow about Adam and Eve went and did some shit that God said not to do and went back to man, and we're here. And I talk about that just the fact of, even at the gym, me and male friends of mine, do we look and like looking? We're men, of course we do. But we also talk about how some of the stuff that women wear, they shouldn't be wearing out in public or at the gym. They don't have to worry about that in other Muslim countries or other countries who frown upon women showing off their body parts. They should keep it covered in this pride. So, we have that. Sodom and Gomorrah. Isn't that the fucking blueprint of America? Free to love and live and do all the freaky shit that you want. Transitioning, open marriages, gay sex. Isn't that what we do here in America? And it's frowned upon in African countries. It's frowned upon in Muslim countries, and we go over and try to force them to do this. What we do here in America, if we think about it, is an abomination in the Bible. These are questions I'm asked because we on the brink of war, people. Said this before and I'm gonna say it again. Before this year is over with, I think we're gonna have World War III. And I honestly believe we're gonna have a nuclear war and it's gonna destroy the fucking planet. But there are people who think they're going to be able to survive this. Is why they don't care. Because they have prepped for this. Then you think about the Bible and it talks about pandemics and all that stuff. Weather's changing, which would mock the end of the world. So we know we had a pandemic, right? We also know it was natural, created by man. We also know that they are seeding the clouds to change and predict weather. It's not natural, done by man. All this stuff is in the Bible. About machines and AI and technology. We are willingly doing this. So are these revelations, or is it man who wrote the Bible, but supposedly given to him by God, doing this? And is America the demonic country? R. Kelly, P. Diddy, none of that stuff is important, people. And you should stop talking about it. The United States is like Rome. And when you think about Jesus Christ and hanging on the cross, you know what Rome did? Basically what the United States have done. Rome just didn't have nuclear weapons, bombs, or whatever, but Rome went around conquering smaller countries and tried to take over the whole world. The United States have set up military bases all over the planet. And they lie to us, telling us it's them protecting the world in the United States' interest. No. No one's trying to invade the United States. You don't hear about other countries talking about killing American citizens. But what we do have is the United States and the CIA creating coups in other countries, robbing other countries like Africa for minerals. The war in Ukraine is sponsored by the United States. Gaza, the war in Gaza, is sponsored by the United States. What they're trying to do in Africa, because Africa and African American, black people, whatever you want to call it, have finally decided enough is enough. We're going to mind, we don't need America. We don't need France. So the United States now wants to go and say, oh, we're going over here to save. That presentation that Donald Trump did in the White House was diabolical. And as I was watching, I was laughing. The fact he started talking about us going over in South Africa to save, and he said this over in white farmers. He kept saying that. Why do you think he kept saying that? He said once or twice, oh, if it was any other farmer. That's a lie. Because when there was apartheid in South Africa, we didn't have any open borders for black people who were being killed and murdered. Then he started showing these pictures. It's a dog and pony show. And some of those pictures weren't even from South Africa, come to find out. President Trump doesn't read. We know that. President Trump is given a script and told what to do. President Trump is not in charge of absolutely nothing, people. You have to understand. No president has. The last president that tried to do some shit, that whatever, they killed him, they blew his brains out, JFK. We are actively now trying to start a war in Africa. Other countries are waking up to our nonsense and standing up against us. You should be afraid. You should be very, very afraid. And whatever future you think you're planning for, going to school for, making with your family, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to look like you think it's going to look. If we don't even have a nuclear war, shit is changing. It's changing drastically. There would be a Great Depression here in America. The shit that you read about in books, it's going to happen again. And we're going to be the ones that's going through it. So all this animosity you may have for one another, you have to put it away. Because we're going to need each other. Just keep paying attention. And not to entertainment shit. It's nonsense. Who cares? You shouldn't and I don't.